Hotep family, welcome to Common Sense. Seems like you want to obtain your power. It's not very hard. That's why I named the site Common Sense, because it'd be able to apply to everybody. Everybody has sense within their head. Inside of our head, the brain has two parts to it, even though we have one consciousness. We have a left hemisphere and a right hemisphere. The left hemisphere operates on linear thinking or logical thinking. The right hemisphere operates on oneness, or is connected to the universe or the new-verse. Basically, I'm going to be talking for both parts today, so you get a little understanding of why you're here. For one, you're probably here because you realize that something isn't right now within the United States of America, where we've actually been bamboozled once again into believing that the person that is on my birth certificate in capital letters is me. And this is not true. You can go and look up corporate contracts and see that they too put the business name in capital letters. We've been contracted at birth out of our parents' ignorance, and it's no fault to them. I don't fault anybody for not knowing the truth given to them by somebody else. I only fault those that now know the truth and do nothing about it. So I don't advocate ignorance. And neither does the law. And that's right in their case law also. I found that ignorance is no deterrent from the law. It means that just because you're ignorant of something doesn't mean that you can't get out of an arrest. You understand? And some of us have experienced that. But today I'm going to go over real quick what the site's about. We're not operating in the site from linear thinking or logical thinking. What I mean by that is to use common sense is to use nature as examples. It's imagery. It's something that the right side of your brain can perceive. And what you can perceive, okay, is this. Inside of here is your world. Inside of here is your power, okay, that was given to you by here, which is your heart. And if you notice, in most ancient texts, especially the most famous one to us right now, the Bible, okay, mentions this being your heart. So what I did was I did a little research and I found out that the heart has equal to or more brain cells in it than this. So what that means to me is that I should be operating here. And once again, we've been bamboozled, like I said before, whereas they have us thinking. First mistake. They have us thinking when we are feeling beings. And most of you can understand, if you've been on this planet for over a couple years, that you've had that feeling where something or some situation, some person, some circumstance didn't feel right to you. You've got a bad vibe. That's your intuition. That's the cells, the brain cells in your heart telling you, hey man, even though this is telling you one thing, I'm telling you to do another. And you should do it. And I can cite experiences of my own where I've been in, okay, one experience. This goes back way back when a long time ago. I was in one part of this town in somebody else's neighborhood or hood, and I wasn't supposed to be there. This was in Elizabeth, New Jersey. At the time, the city of Elizabeth had beef, or they had problems with New Brunswick, New Jersey. And these guys found out I was from New Brunswick, and it was just me and another guy from Brunswick, and there was about 10 guys in the projects out there in Elizabeth, right off of Broad Street out there in Elizabeth. And we were surrounded, man. And even before I went into those projects, my heart was like, something ain't right. See, I chose to listen with this because at first my eyes didn't see anything. So what I'm saying now is that if some of us have come on here that have connected to Ma'at, which deals with truth, justice, fairness, and so forth. We have to begin using this, and I believe most of us have. That's why we're here today. So what is common sense about? Well, the country that we live in, the people that decided to write this Constitution for themselves, okay, made it clear that they were going to use common law, okay, based off of common sense. So what that means is they decided to use this. Meaning, you out there could be the best person in the world. What I mean by that is that you're compassionate, you're truthful, you're just, you're fair, you're practicing the principles of Ma'at. Me over here, okay, I'm into porn, I'm into stealing, robbing my brothers and sisters, I'm into lying to my brothers and sisters, I'm into gossiping, okay, I'm into anger. So I'm into all these things, right? And we go up to the Empire State Building in New York City and we jump off. Both of us jump off. What do you expect is going to happen? Well, one of us, or both of us, is going to lose our lives. I mean, there is instances where people have lived off of jumping from that height. I mean, there's people that's lived jumping out of planes. What I'm saying is, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be hurting. Whether what you believe in here, there's certain laws you can't break, okay? And that's the law of gravity. While you're in this fleshly body. And this is what they were trying to examine when they were coming up with the Constitution, that no matter what, man's perceptions or man's statutes or codes, which we're presently living under right now, do not apply to us because we're natural beings, okay? We're the only law that can apply to us is universal law, common law, natural law, right? Gravity, right? The law of attraction law. What is that? Well, do unto others as you want them to do unto you. Sound familiar? Real simple stuff. I know I'm gonna cause an effect if I take action. I'm gonna get an opposite reaction. Okay? Or I might get a similar action depending on what the circumstance is. So, for instance, if I go and rob you and you find out, you're probably not gonna be happy with me. You're gonna do a few things. You're gonna call the police. You might even be bold enough to come back and rob me. It's gonna be a negative outcome, okay? And this is what they based the Constitution on. And they realized that coming out of our mother's womb was a natural occurrence, okay? They also realized that as we evolve as human beings, circumstances will change, but certain laws and principles will not change. So no matter how negatively smart I think I am, right? My lying gets a little better. I become a better thief. The deception becomes better. Okay, these are negative attributes of our divine being. It still doesn't trump what I'm gonna bring back to myself. And I'm not a Bible thumper. I don't advocate religion. If that's your thing, cool, but I'm not here to talk about that. But I know a lot of people have read the Bible, they deal with the Bible, so just use that. You reap what you sow, okay? Real simple. The law of attraction. So they realized this, and they realized that we had certain rights as live beings, okay, that couldn't be taken away from us. So what we've developed here at Common Sense is we've developed knowledgeable packets for reasonable prices. They're usually starting anywhere from a few bucks to $5, okay? Currently right now what we're working on is we're producing right to travel IDs. What is that? Well, again, I'm going to use common sense, okay, for the common man. Back in the day, before automobiles, okay, they used horses. A horse is a live being. It's not an engine. Engines are calibrated to precision, so over time it'll take time for them to fail, okay? So what that means is most people get into their cars or trucks today, turn the key, and they're already believing the car's going to start. That's because mechanics deal with calibrations. They deal with consistency, okay? A horse is a live being. It's not always consistent. It can buck you. It can refuse to kneel down so you can get on. It can give you some problems, okay? You got to feed it, okay? It can catch diseases. It can catch, back in the day, it could catch an arrow or a bullet and go down, whereas your car could get shot at and still run, okay? So the point that I'm making is, it doesn't make sense today that I need to have a license in order to travel. When back in the day, people were riding these unpredictable live beings without a license. And if you really want to get deeper, this is how corrupt, I'm going to show you, the government we're living in is right now. A certain people needed to have passes in order to travel. Okay, this started from slavery. This is where it started from. This is where your passports come into now. Okay? Because at one time each state was sovereign. It was a republic. It was its own territory. And slaves were not allowed to leave or go anywhere without some sort of identification. Whereas the Tamahu, and when I speak about a Tamahu, I'm speaking about the modern day European, were able to travel at will. So you see what I'm getting at? So why do I need a license to travel now? Well, you need a license to travel now because they have you convinced, like any other license, that you need to contract yourself in order to become a debtor to the state, or the DMV, or whatever the motor vehicle agency is called in your city, town, state, whatever. Okay, this is to generate money. Just like a licensed contractor, a guy comes to paint your house. Okay, a guy comes to paint your house. He has a contract. He has a license number. He's dealing with money. So, according to the actual law, okay, and when I speak about law, I'm not talking about your made up traffic tickets, your speeding tickets, your codes, okay, your statutory codes. I'm talking about actual common law that deals with natural law, okay, law that can't be broken. You need a license if you're dealing with money, contractually. So if I'm a truck driver, if I'm a taxi car driver, even if I'm a pizza boy, I would need a license. If I'm driving, okay, if I'm driving in my vehicle, my motor vehicle, on the public highways, in local roads. Now you also got to remember, if some of you on here that has never been in a court, never watched a courtroom show like Law and Order or anything like that, seen a movie like The Pelican Brief by John Grisham, you're dealing with legalese. You're dealing with a whole new language. So a person, all in lowercase letters, means something entirely different than a person all in capital. You see what I'm saying? So that's why your name and all in lowercase letters means something totally different than the legal fiction, or what's known as a straw man, is all in capital letters on your birth certificate. Okay, so you need to know this. So back in the day, people had a right to travel, and it was backed by case law. And I'm going to read a few of these off for you in a couple minutes, but it's backed by case law. Okay, people had a right to travel on their personal conveyances. What's a personal conveyance? It's your basic private conveyance or automobile that you use to go to grandma's house, or you use to go to your girlfriend's house, or you use to even go to your business. Yes. See, just because you're going to your job or you're going to a store, you're still not making money on a public highway or road. Now, if you're dealing drugs, that's a whole nother story, because you're making money on a public road. And I'm just being honest, because I know some of you out there, that's what you do. And I'm not condemning you. You do what you gotta do. That's not what this video is about. But I'm just giving you a heads up. If you get right to travel identification from us, I'm telling you, it's not going to help you because you're already doing something that's hurting another individual. Okay? In order for there, in common law, constitutional law, in order for there to be a crime, there has to be a victim, a flesh and blood victim. And unfortunately, with most drugs, and I'll just use the hard ones. I'm not talking about marijuana and stuff, but the hard ones, like cocaine and heroin, meth, they harm people. Okay? People can die. So you have a victim. Going in your car, right, getting pulled over for speeding, there is no victim. Unless you hit somebody in the car and harm them, there is no victim. There is no victim when you park, when you get a parking ticket, okay? When you forget to pay the meter and they come and tow your car, there is no victim. These are all legal acts that you can fight in court, in federal court. And be compensated financially. So here's some case law to back up what I'm saying. So for one, remember you don't have to show identification, and you cannot lawfully be detained or arrested for failure to show. Failure to show means a policy enforcer, which is a police officer, or a highwayman, which is the state troopers. They come over and they ask you for identification, okay? Okay, you don't have to show identification, and you can't be detained or arrested lawfully for failure to show if there's no crime. So let's say you go back from lunch, you find out that the parking authority is there, and they ask you for your identification. You don't have to produce it. And they might even try to arrest you. But now you have a lawsuit at hand, because now they're violating the Fourth Amendment, which is illegal search and seizure. Okay? And this has happened to me. I'm speaking from experience. And maybe in the future I'll share that experience with you. Right now, I just want you to know the basics. More importantly, if you do show out of the courtesy of your heart, remember we're dealing with this, you certainly cannot allow your identification to be confiscated. It's your property. That's another thing that the constitutional people or the persons who set this up, they wanted to protect your life, liberty, and property. Okay? So life is, you got to protect yourself from death here on the planet. You have a right to do that. Self-defense, all that, right? Your liberty, okay? You're not going to be arrested like they've been doing it to us indiscriminately because we don't fight back. They can't do that. Okay? You have a right to your freedom, your liberty, to coexist. Peaceful. Right? And then your property. They can't seize your car for parking tickets. They can't seize your car for speeding. They can't seize your car for not paying your registration, for not being able to pay car insurance, and they take away. See, you don't want to get into these contractual agreements with these people because these are the same people that founded this nation on slavery. Just got to keep that in your mind. Every time you sign something with these people, you're signing your life, liberty, and property away. Okay? That's a warning. So, here's some case law to back it up. Okay. Colender versus Lawson, 461 U.S. 352, 1983, in which the United States Supreme Court ruled that a police officer could not arrest a citizen merely for refusing to present identification. Okay? So they can't arrest you for refusing to present identification. Why? And I've said this. Am I under arrest? Am I under arrest? No. Okay, well, I don't have to basically do anything. I can walk away right now. Alright? Hofsummer versus Hayes, 9-2, Oklahoma 3-2, 227 F, period 417. The courts are not bound by an officer's interpretation of the law under which he presumes to act. So these policy enforcers and these highwaymen have no authority. Okay? The only authority, if you know yourself, is natural law. It's the law of the universe. That's the only authority. Okay? Owen versus Independence, 100 SCT 1398, 445 US 622. Officers of the court have no immunity when violating a constitutional right from liability, for they are deemed to know the law. So again, this goes back to there's no excuse for ignorance of the law. If we don't get a pass, why are we giving them a pass? And the law's not going to give them a pass once the case gets bumped up to the Supreme Court, because there is no excuse for ignorance of the law. That's just how it's written. And that's basically it, you know. That's just a little bit of what I want to explain here, what this website's about, what we're going to be doing. Of course, I have a lot more information to share with you. I'll be sharing a little here and there. This is just basically a welcome video. I've realized since being a part of the National African Liberation Party that this is going to be a fight that's on all fronts. And one of the ones that we could start with right now is the legal part, you know. Beat them at their own game, man. I mean, there's a lot of people out there, they love the protest, which is, to me, doesn't work, but I see why people do it, because it's a lot safer than picking up weapons and firing it back, because you might have the chance of being jettisoned out of this planet, and you got to be prepared for that. But if you're not, you can fight them back on paper. And the bonus is you can make money at it too. And we just have to realize that we are the natural beings, okay? And we are the original melanated beings. We are the original people on this planet. And it's time that we reclaim our divinity. We access our power. And the only way that I found that we can utilize this power is through common sense. It's our intuition. Okay? It's gaining more knowledge. It's no different than those of you that are maybe in school and you study, you do the work, you go and you ace the test. Okay? It's no different than those of you that play ball and you practice, and you're the best on the court. Okay? There's no difference with those of you that can draw, or you do tattoos, and you're the best artist out there. You know, because it all comes down to practice. It all comes down to what you know. And you can't break this. This is another law. Okay? The more you know, the more power you have. And I'll tell you, not too long ago, I was in a courtroom, and I was representing myself, and the judge and the prosecutor have respect for me, because after studying this for a while, I would say for years, because I've known about this way of life for a while now. Some call it, you know, we have our Moorish brothers that I respect in that aspect. Then you have Tamahus that call themselves sovereign citizens. But, you know, any label you put on it, it's all the same. So why not reclaim our power? Why not reclaim us, you know? I mean, our ancestors knew about this eons ago. So knowing this, you gain more confidence, you know? And one thing that I've learned so far, and I remember those that came before me would try to tell me, and now they've since moved on to another life, they always would ask me, or no, they would always tell me back then, you don't know who you are. And I think that's the greatest disservice you can do to anybody, is keep them ignorant. So I want you to think about that, and if you have any questions, okay, you can, I'll be posting, there should be a post of the link right here, or the address to the email right here, and a link to the website, and so it should be right here if you see it. And but I'm just going to give it to you again. It's going to be Live Big Publishing at yandex.com. So it's Live Big Publishing at yandex.com, and you can email me, or you can just go directly to the website and you can find my contact info there. And you know, I don't charge for consultations, but if you're looking for information packets, or these, right now we're just working on these right to travel identification cards to get people out of the system, to get people out of you know, debt, get people to stop contributing to this corrupt system, man. It doesn't make sense.